Hello and welcome to this podcast, Flourish, with Deepti and me, Selva. Whoever you are, wherever you are from, and whatever you do, this is the show that will help you not just restart confidently, but also thrive and flourish in your second careers.
We both are returnees ourselves, bringing our experiences of restarting, sharing both failure and success stories. In this season, we'll deep dive into the world of returnees and bring you expert interviews, research findings, and HR perspectives.
So, if you are thinking of restarting your career but don't know where to begin, you've come to the right place. You must be wondering how to build that killer return to work resume or crack that dream job interview, or even get that insider's view of recruiters hiring returnees. All that and more, we've got it all covered in this podcast just for you.
So, are you ready? Because it's time for you to flourish.
Yes, tune in to Flourish, a one of a kind podcast meant for all you people returning to work.
I am Deepti Rao, a techie by profession, mentor by passion, and a certified happiness coach.
I am Selvapani Selvaraj, a corporate HR expert, career success coach for women, and a certified psychologist. We both are corporate professionals with over 40 years of collective experience. We know what it takes to build, pause, and rebuild a successful career, all the while being parents, caregivers, and family nurturers.
So, welcome to the first episode of season 1.
This being our very first podcast episode, I want to start with how we first met, Deepti. I remember us meeting on a women's networking platform, talking exactly about these challenges of getting back to work. I realized we both are podcast listeners and talk endlessly about challenges of life, work, and how motherhood really transformed us.
Yes, Selfa. I know it felt like serendipity, when we were talking in our first
Yeah,
WhatsApp call. I think it's this very common passion for helping women returning to work that has led us to launch our very own podcast, Flourish, because it felt like the best way to share inspiring stories of returnship. In this season, we'll cover the entire spectrum of returnship in a practical sense.
we bring you diverse stories, not just about returning, but really making it a success. And hence, it felt right to name our podcast as Flourish, ending with the she, because we want women to do everything to flourish in their career. Hence the she.
Yes, flourish, right? Silva, tell me your journey and how you flourished in your career.
Sure. I grew up with dreams of becoming Indira Nui of Sauce Deepti, and that came true when I headed HR for McKinsey. Looking back at these 20 years of HR experience, I've worked with some of the best minds in world's best firms, such as ThoughtWorks, Mercedes-Benz, and McKinsey, of course. I've taken sabbaticals, shifted gears to independent consulting, traveled across the rural most parts of India for Azim Premji Foundation. But now I'm the founder of Flourish, a venture incubated at the IIM Bangalore NSR cell. Through Flourish, we are on a mission to normalize career breaks for women, and we hope to flourish all the lives of our Indian working women through that. We specialize in career success coaching for women, and we help companies create inclusive work culture. That's about me and my venture. What about you, Deepti?
Very interesting, Selva. You have had a lot of curves and meanderings all through your career. Very interesting. For me, right, I have been a techie with about 20 years of industry experience in the hardcore technology world. While I started my job in a startup, then my career flourished at Cisco across two maternity breaks, including an 18-month long sabbatical. One of the highlights of my career at Cisco was when I formed an employee resource group called as Back to Business, which helped women professionals return back to their workforce with confidence. This is when, I realized the power of communities and the satisfaction of giving back, because I had a chance to return back to work. So I felt, that I need to empower more women also to do the same thing. And then I moved on to working for Discovery Channel. And currently I'm pursuing several passion projects. And of course, this podcast being one of them.
Lovely, lovely, Deepti. The back to business is so refreshing to hear, and we'd love to know more as we go forward. For me, Deepti, each of these moves, whether moving between jobs or shifting from corporate to consulting, each one actually felt like a brand new start, But that was nothing compared to the challenges of returning to work after my son was born. The idea of having a full-fledged career after motherhood was scary, and honestly, the Indira Nooyi in me felt totally confused about the whole idea of returning.
Yeah, yes, Selva. I know what it feels to return because restarts are really hard, not just for you or me, but in fact, the research shows it's a worldwide phenomenon. To just tell you, the World Bank report shows that women's participation at work in India is only 18%.
Yeah, while that itself is a small percentage, Deepti, considering all girls study till their engineering and graduation these days. But what's alarming, is the next statistics. Of this smaller 18% of women participation at work, a whopping 91% of them drop out of the workforce after about 10 long years of working.
Very startling, I must say, right? And it's such a tough call to leave your job and you're like at the top of it.
It is. And of that 91% who's dropping out, about 50% of them somehow manage to return. But the rest of them even dread at the thought of returning. It's either lack of self confidence, lack of connections back at work, or just feeling of low competency now.
It's unfortunate, but that's so true. And another research from Zinov shows that 1 lakh women left the workforce in the last 5 years. And how many do you think, return through returnship programs, Selva?
Maybe 30%.
Not even close. It's only 2% that actually returned. We rarely talk about the struggles of returning, right? And I think that's why this podcast will bust all the myths of returnship.
Need of the hour for sure, Aditi. I coach many women professionals, and there is a clear pattern in how women feel at crossroads of career and family at the peak of their career. And what's more, they carry the belief that it is their personal inability to return easily, and the world outside is functioning perfectly fine.
Yes, I know that, Selva. Most of us go through that imposter syndrome, right? But also, going by the research, it's clear that it's not just 1 or 2 women, but most of them find it challenging to return after a break. And that definition of a dream job changes so much after motherhood because you would rarely sleep, forget about dreaming. And it does take a, right? It does take a lot to return. We know it.
Yes. Yeah. I wish I had something like this when I returned, a podcast or a forum to learn from each other and just use that wisdom to prepare when I return. And that's exactly what our upcoming episodes will cover. For example, what does it mean to be psychologically ready for the return? Or how to build up that knockout resume? Or prepare for that dream job interview? And after successfully doing all this, how do I really plan the return?
Ultimate guide to returnship, Selva. You're telling the table of contents. Very interesting, right? Let's usher all our listeners to this very special season, leaving you with a thought provoking quote from the famous Tao master Lao Tzu. 1,000-mile journey begins with a foot put down.
That's right. Let's put our foot down now and get started.
Your feedback is our inspiration. Be generous with your rating. We love 5-star ratings because it will help us reach many more women who are looking for that inspiration to restart. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Flourish.
We hope you liked our podcast. All we do in this podcast is to have meaningful conversations, speak to experts, and bring you the real stories of returnship. Look up our show notes for research links and our social media connects.
Why just survive when you can thrive and flourish in your career?
Amen to that. Bye, folks. Until the next time in our next episode.